time I was able to convince people that what we do will bring them value, why they need to license or purchase a solution like Earnix, that was for me a success.
Today I'm joined by Reuven Shnaps, the Chief Analytics Officer from Earnix. So let's meet Reuven. Hello, Reuven. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Jeremy. Glad to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant to have you on as well. Reuven, could you tell us, how did you get where you are today?
Yeah, it has been a long journey. So maybe I would say it started when I was around 24, decided to go to the University of Pennsylvania to pursue my PhD in economics with the plan that I will go back and be serve as a university professor at the Department of Economics, Bar-Ilan University. Plans alone, and I guess, and the reality was different. I ended up spending about 4 years working at Anderson and Deloitte and Touche. That was most of my time. And then about 18 years ago, I met Sammy Krickler before we were planning to go back to Israel. And I would say the rest is history.
Yeah.
I had a unique opportunity to join the company that was then a small startup and see it grow over the years to become one of the leaders of a pricing rating solution for the insurance industry. And also Earnix, as you might know, also operate on the banking side. So it's really been a very interesting journey.
What's that been like, starting with a company small and actually seeing it grow to be a big business?
Yeah, that's, I guess if I go back then, no one would, even I that was around numbers all my life and kind of dealt with predictions and stuff like that. I would never know that I would be in the company 18 years later. But really, I think it's been an amazing journey. And when you start up at the year of 2005, things were very different. Economic situation was very different. The challenges were different. And I think along the years, we had a vision, we had a kind of a plan to come and contribute and change things for the insurance company. And I would say one of the things that was unique, you probably, I know that you come from that background, is that there was a focus on, I would say, a cost plus approach, right? People
Yeah.
were focused on the cost side. What Earnix, I think, brought Sammy Krickler, the founder, ideas was to say, hey, when you think about pricing, there are two sides to it. You have, of course, the cost side. You have to have kind of the revenue side. You have to understand how customers and view pricing, how you have to take into consideration competition. So on top of the discipline that you had for insurance pricing, estimating or building loss cost models and stuff like that, came the side of the customer behavior models. How do customers respond to rate changes? Because you might change your rates as a result of risk, but customers know nothing about your risk models. They never left their home, and you are telling them they are riskier now. All they see is now that you have changed the rates. So this is something you need to account for when you want to put market prices. So I think that was very a unique aspect. So focus was initially on more of what you can call the pricing sophistication. Companies have different business objectives, and what's the best way and what kind of set of prices you put in the market in order to be able to achieve your business objectives. Of course, you had some people who were focusing on profit, some were focusing on growth, and you had to be able to balance between the two. Of course, over the years, we also learned that pricing is a very complex kind of process, a lot of stakeholders. And it's not just about the sophistication, it's also about bringing those into the market in real time. So Earnix is a rating solution. So how do I take all those great analytics kind of and all the sophistication and make sure that it hits the market in the right time, that people get the rates in real time, and there is different requirements for that. So over the years, Earnix has built not only the sophistication, but also the processes to be able to support it. Of course, many years ago, it was around moving to what we call an online system that in a matter of milliseconds provide a quote. Then later come also the cloud solutions. So you're starting to build the infrastructure in order to be able to support very large scale of operations. And Earnix today works with numerous insurance companies across 35 countries and different over 6 continents. And you have the insurtechs, you have the startups, and also you have the mega insurance companies like top 10 carriers in the US example.
What's been the biggest success for you with Earnix over the years?
That's a very good question. There was a lot of, you're talking about me personally, my own personal success. So I would say, look, some will say that it's interesting. We are now in 2023, in 2021, the markets were focusing on growth, and Earnix also became a unicorn. So you could say that, hey, look, from a small company, they're declaring Earnix as a unicorn. That was really a major achievement. But I will say, you know what? You don't need to look at the very big success. Every time I was able to convince, I also participated in trying to convince people to adopt Earnix.
Yeah.
Every time I was able to convince people that what we do will bring them value, why they need to license or purchase a solution like Earnix, that was for me a success. And when we actually went and worked on projects and showed and deployed it and showed them the value that they are getting from it, it was a success. Every time we were able to link what I call this analytics in order to address and solve a business problem, that for me was a success. And I've had a lot of stories of this along the year.
That's brilliant. What's been the biggest challenge? What's been the biggest difficulty?
I think the biggest difficulty, and I think we still see it, is that we are dealing with a fairly conservative industry. They do want to move forward. They do have great aspirations. I think over the last few years, they were challenged also by some smaller, at least the incumbents, by smaller insurtechs and the digital revolution, Corona and stuff like that. But still,
Yeah.
it's a very traditional, slow moving to some degree industry. And also, I think the other challenge is you have legacy systems so that kind of delay the adoptions. I think along the years, I also come across that people use the data is not ready. It's like it's a challenge. You need to make business decision. You need to adopt different methodologies and stuff like that. And say data was a big kind of, I would say, not inhibitor, but slow down the process along the years. But I do see a change. If you compare where the industry was when I started in 2005 and maybe 2010, 15, even 2020 before Corona, and today with the big advancement in the digital revolution, I would say, and ML, AI, and definitely now generative AI, I think people understand that they need to move much faster. Otherwise, they are going to stay behind. And that's where Earnix and come and to help them to support their journey to speed up the innovation, speed up their journey, and some of them need to do some catch up. So that's, I think, my view on the challenges.
That's great. And what would you say is your mission for insurance pricing?
Yeah, so I think when I think about the mission is that we, as I said, we have been a leader in this space for many years, and we want to revolutionize the way companies are operating. Now, operations, of course, we are talking here today about pricing, but it's not. It's pricing, it's rating, and later you can talk about underwriting processes and other aspects. And also, and especially in the last few years, it's not just about the operations, but how they serve their customers. Clearly, today more than ever, we see customers, their needs is to have a personalized treatment. You need to tailor the treatment to each customer. And so that's one side. The second is how do you respond to ever-changing market conditions? So I think when we look at those two, this is where Earnix kind of mission is to really help them to, as I said, improve significantly the operation side, respond to customer needs in a personalized manner, and also be able to adapt to market conditions. Now, so one clear example was the Corona period changed everything we knew about what's happening. So you have to change your models, you have to change your processes. If you don't have the right software solution and technology in place, you have a big problems. If we look at the last year, I think inflation is a very big concern. Now, as I said,
Yes.
I think in so many countries, so we have actually customers who are operating in a almost double-digit inflation a month, okay? And
Wow.
some places I think they described in South America you have, and in of course in Europe and the US it's not that high, but even if you have a double-digit inflation number, that's something that they haven't seen. Also, the cost of some of the parts is really dozens of percent. So that means you need to be able to change your rates much more frequently, but you have to do it smartly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can just go ahead and change sometimes called base rates or whatever, and just let's take 10% up and that's it. So you have to be very smart how you do it. That's why you need a technology that will help you make those changes quickly, but as I said, smartly, intelligently. Now, the other thing that is very important, and this is where this operational efficiency, we mentioned that this is a highly regulated industry. Some places very strict, some places less strict, either way. So doing this in a fully governed and controlled manner, it's extremely important. So what we do focus also is how do you do all that, as I said, in a controlled and governed manner, and actually affect two things. One is how do I cut significantly my time to decisioning? So the ability to really take into account all the changes, all the update the models and everything, that's one aspect. I need to be ready with the prices, but then the other one is how do I cut significantly the time to market? That's where I bridge. I have legacy system, I have IT prioritization that prevents me sometimes from bringing this to the market in a very quick manner. And that's where Earnix also excel in both of those areas. And I think that's a noble, I would say, mission that we have for the industry. And another thing, I think it's very important, so since this is a complex pricing process, many stakeholders, so we need to have a mission to serve as a center, this common language that all relevant stakeholders will find the solution useful and they can kind of exchange and speak to each other through the Earnix and channel the information and make sure we connect the IT all the way to the data analyst, to the pricing actuary, to the salesperson, marketing. All of them can find this within the same solution. And another thing that is critical in insurance, and that's also part of the mission, we need also to do all that. We need to do it in a seamless way, and we need to minimize errors. That's very important. And one last point, I used to say when I participated personally on a lot of pre-sales activities, you buy into Earnix, you buy into the future. We need to make sure that when you are starting the journey with Earnix, you can always know that we are keep innovating. And no matter where you are on the adoption journey, you'll always have the ability to be ahead because we are innovating and you can actually take more and more of the new things that we are bringing to the market. And one last point that is very important, it's not just a software play. You need to complement the great product with proven field experience. Earnix has been in business for over 20 years. I myself 18, and there are other folks within the company. So you need deep experience and understanding of insurance, how you bridge between business and analytics, and We also complement those services by partnering with system integrators or consultants that really can together give a holistic approach to pricing and make sure companies are successful.
That's brilliant, Reuven. I agree with all the points. I particularly picking up on deployment and making sure things are deployed correctly. It's so important, and people don't like to admit mistakes, but it does happen. I know from personal experience, using Earnix is good for preventing those problems from happening. What would you say is your vision for the future of insurance pricing?
I think what we see in the past few years, and definitely I would say in the last year, it's becoming even stronger, that companies realize that they need to leverage data and advance, make more informed business decisions and intelligent decisions. We have seen ML and AI being used a lot around automation, process automation, that it's time to really take this to the next level, and we want to make sure that your business decisions are being informed by that. So, and in that respect, we see different types of, I would say, we want to talk about before about personalization or tailoring it to different customers. We also have different personas. We have insurance companies that like to bring their own models with the advances that you have out there. People want to use machine learning model. The classical GLMs are not enough for them, right? That's perfect. Earnix is in that respect, embrace open analytics and help them basically operationalize those models. And I think that's very important because most of the ML AI projects, I think Gartner has a statistic like 85% actually are failing. And not because the models are not great. People are doing a great job. It's because they don't know how to operationalize it. They don't know how to deploy them. And we put a lot of emphasis on the one hand to give you the ability to really take the best models, but to make sure that they operate in scale and they make sure that they will be used in the market. So that's the one side, open analytics. The other side of that is that some people want to also accelerate adoption of ML and AI, and they need assistance. There was a shortage of ML AI folks, so we can help them with built for purpose models like the auto GLMs, or a hybrid model that help them to combine the great features of machine learning for accuracy, but at the same time taking the good stuff from the classical statistical model when it comes to inferencing, and we can combine them together. So I think that's part of our vision. Another important, when I think about leveraging ML and AI, we need to remember, as I said, we have different personas. And it's not always, or in many cases, the business people are the one who makes the decisions. And they need to be aligned. I call my vision of democratization of AI. It's a matter of trust. How do we help them trust all those great models so they can leverage those for decision making? And for that, we also invest, myself and my team and the others within Earnix, in developing those solutions that can bridge between the great work that is being done by the analytics, data scientists, actuary folks, and the business people. So you have explainability solutions. The other part is that often you find the people are very focused on prediction. I want the best models and the accuracy. But when it comes to pricing, there is much more than that. You have to do the separation between prediction and inferencing. So we also provide tools for the business people to have kind of to diagnose the great models and see whether they are suitable for pricing. So at the end of the day, what we want to make sure is that everyone can bring the models they want, but we want to focus also on the deployment side. We want to make sure that they adhere to the principles of pricing and economics, if you like, and then can be used at the end of the day by business people to make business decisions and ultimately serve customers better. Another important, I would say, two other points. One is around generative AI. I cannot speak about this. Everyone talks about generative AI, LLM applications, and there is a lot of them. I'm not gonna, we don't have enough time, I think, to develop this, but one area that we have started to work on is around this generation of synthetic data. I think data, everyone wants more data, but there is a lot of concern about privacy and how you use it and how to share it externally. And I think this advancement around generative AI when it comes to tabular data, the ability to really generate as much as you need, kind of as you need data, is really opens up significant opportunities for insurance companies, both for the smaller startups or insurtechs that may not necessarily have a lot of data available to them, but also ability to really to share the data with third parties for research purposes, or some, even if you have large organizations, they may not be comfortable sharing data internally. Also, the ability to generate synthetic data and combine it with the real data can actually help improve the stability and performance of some models, especially under when you have rare outcomes, you know, that so you need to complement the data. So really that's, I see an area that we are working on, and according to Gartner, I've seen kind of unbelievable statistics that in 2021, they said only 1% of data was synthetic. They predicted by 2024 around 60% of that will be, but I think it's really telling us that this is booming. And I would say, finally, people talk about dynamic pricing. Now, I know this is a topic that has been there talked about, but what does this really mean? So for some people, if they used to do pricing every 6 months, and they've done now doing it every 3 months or 2 months or 1 month, that could consider dynamic. I'm talking about the ability where you have first competition, the market dynamics, the changing environment, is there really the ability to move to a real-time kind of intelligent pricing. And one of the areas is through, you need intelligent dynamic monitoring system that will catch errors when on the fly, will alert where you have either drifts when it comes to the mix of data, or where your models are not performing, and be able to decompose those effects. And very important, this is for business. Remember, I have this in mind. I want to democratize AI and bring it to the business people. They need laser sharp root cause analysis and insight into what is happening. What's their problem? They want to be aware. They want to have peace of mind when they go on vacation, that someone is watching the back. Now, the real vision comes, how do I close the loop? How do I move from insights into providing corrective action? Maybe initially some suggestions, but for some models, when you have more trust, when maybe it's not mission critical and you have some regulatory requirements, you can actually have an autopilot mode. Online machine learning of model being updated, and business and pricing strategies also being updated automatically. That's a vision that I see for insurance pricing.
That is excellent, Reuven. Thank you so much. It chimes so well with how PriceWriter views this and my own methods, particularly that modelling is important, but there's so much else that we need to consider as well to do this right. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. It's been really great to hear from you. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think we have covered a lot of ground here. I think it's an exciting time when you have ups and downs. It's actually where opportunities arise. And I think those who have the right technology and business strategy, I think are going to prevail. We are here, of course, to support the journey of companies. And I would say, don't wait for tomorrow. Start the journey today.
Absolutely. And the price strategy is so key to that as well. Thank you very much, Reuven. You have a good rest of your day.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.